Welcome back to the Painted Peach by Mary. This is a Can't Sleep Creations collaboration. We're doing gingerbread today, and it's hosted by Jody at Southern Seasons, Shabby Meets Bling, Up All Night DIY, and guest hosted by Craftin' in Mimi's World. I got for project number 1 this little Dollar General little bucket. It was for Thanksgiving. I thought I was getting it on a discount, but apparently they rung it up and it was not discounted. But it's okay. It's super cheap, and I figured it would be the greatest little thing to make for this collaboration. While I'm painting this with this tan for the gingerbread color, let's talk about the playlist. You can find the link to that playlist that we talked about in my description. And you can also find all those hosts that I mentioned tagged as well. Don't forget to go check them out because they are all amazing, and I am so happy to be joining them for this collaboration. It's been a while, but I'm back. So anyways, we've got our bucket all nice and gingerbread colored up, and I'm just doing a little touch up here and there. I am going over it with this Liquitex matte medium just to put a little bit of a barrier in between the paint and my pencil that I'm going to use, because this is metal and sometimes the paint will scrape off very easily. So now I'm just going to get my pencil out and we're going to draw out a little gingerbread face. This is going to be the cutest little gingerbread bucket that's going to hold 2 little gingerbread spoons. I'm just using a number 2 pencil to kind of draw out my plan. Sometimes I go ahead and freehand it, but usually I draw things out before I go in just to be sure I know what I'm doing. I don't want to have to keep repainting this thing, you know. So I do use my Sharpie to draw my eyes and my eyebrows and my mouth, and then I come in with a paint pen and do the little nose. I get out this paint and I paint it in, and then we'll use some paint to do the cheeks as well. It's just playing around until I get it like I want it. I'll also use a paint pen to go in and paint the white of the eyes, and I use some black paint for the black part of the eyes. I do add in a little bit of that tan to that color that I showed you. That color is what I use for the cheeks of my things, but usually I mix it in with a little bit of red and a little bit of tan so it kind of dulls it down a bit. Here I am coming in with my black paint to fill in those eyes, and we are just making this little Gingies face super cute. Now, once I get all of this complete, I will go back over it with some of that sealer that I use. You can use a spray sealer, which I use the Mod Podge spray sealer, or you can use something to go over it with a brush. I prefer the spray just because it's more even and you don't get those brush strokes. All right, we're doing a little bit of touching up here and there. I'm going to use this paint pen to draw on my frosting, I guess is what it is, and do a little bit more touching up to the eyes and such. And I think this little Gingy bucket is so adorable. And here it is. Oh, it's so cute. All right, next up, we are going to get those spoons. I also got these from the Dollar General for, I think they were like $1 a piece or something like that. Maybe even less, not sure. And I'm just going to paint them up with that same brown color that I used on the little bucket. I added a little bit of a lighter tan into it because I wanted them to stand out a little bit differently. But I do go in and add a little bit of darkness up in the spoon area once I get this all dried up. We're going to also go in and do these cute little faces on these spoons as well, because we want it to be like it's little children, right? Little Gingy children. So I'm doing the same method, going in and drawing my eyes with a pencil, my mouth and such, and then I'll go in with the paint and the paint pens and fill everything in. So this is going to be the most cutest little kitchen display. You could set it up in on a tiered tray, or like a shelf, not a shelf sitter, like a little round display shelf. I don't know what those are called, but anyways, you could use this as like a backdrop in your kitchen for like a little basket of buns or something like that. There's so many possibilities, but I just think it would be super cute in your kitchen for the Christmas season. And there's that cutest little spoon. We're going to go ahead and do the second one as well, and then we'll display this all together, just as cute as can be. I'm using that little tag that came on the bucket, and I painted it white. The other side said thank you, if you are thankful, if you remember from the beginning. So I'm just going to write with the marker on there and put the word sweet, and then we're going to glue it onto one of these spoons so that it will overlap the both of them, and when it sticks out from the top, you'll see it hanging as if it was tied around them. Now, I prefer using paint pens rather than Sharpies, but I do not have a black paint pen that will work for me right now, so I am just using what I have. So here you see me, I'm using that tacky glue, and we're going to tacky glue that right on there and hold it for a minute, and then it'll be good and set up. I'm going to go in and make some little adjustments while it's drying, and then we'll go ahead and get our bucket back out, and we will figure out how to get them to stand up in there. So I'm stuffing the bucket with some paper or plastic bags that I had in my little workspace from buying things, and that's how they're going to stand. All right, let's go on to project number 2. I bought these from the Dollar General as well. They were both like, well, I don't remember, it was $2 or $3, but they had like a little paper topping on it with gingerbread and a snowman, and I decided I needed to make them a little bit more cute. So we're going to paint one of these with pink and one of these with blue, and we're going to design them up the way we want them. So I like to buy the cheaper things like this where they have their own little designs on it and redo them. I think it's a great way to make it your own and not have to go out and spend a whole lot of money on finding exactly what you want for your kitchen. We're going to turn these little coffee cups into gingerbread houses, and then we are going to add a snowman and some whipped cream on one side and a gingerbread man and some whipped cream on the other. They turn out adorable. I do use some puffy paint on these, and it's not usually something I use. I get a little messy with it, but I do like the way it turns out. So there I went in with that same brown color that I used for the gingerbread bucket a while ago. I'm going in with my pencil and drawing out a little door and some windows, and we're just going to go ahead and go straight in with some a paint pen to kind of make those pencil lines disappear, and then I'm going to use the puffy paint to trace around those. But I want to draw my door in with some paint. I should have went in and do my windows as well, because I do end up doing that after, and it would have been a lot better if I had done it before the puffy paint went on. So I live and learn, right? I'm using some paint pens to draw some little designs on the cup, little vines with some little berries on it. And then here I am just using that puffy paint and going right in and designing the little gingerbread house. I'm also going to use the puffy paint up on top for the whipped cream, and I will use it on the hat as well. All right, let's go in and draw out our little gingerbread man and figure out exactly what we want to do with him. We're going to make his little hat the color of the other cup, and then on the other cup we'll use the color of this cup on our snowman so that they'll match. So now I'm just drawing out what I want on my gingerbread man. I'm using the paint pen to fill in the white part so I know where to make the face, and then I will be using the puffy paint up there on that part and the little ball of the hat. So here we have our little icing on our little gingerbread man, and I'm going in and doing some touch-ups here and there, and pretty much we're just going to fill in with that puffy paint. We're going to add in our eyeballs and all that stuff on our Gingy, and then we're going to move over to our other cup and fix that little snowman up as well. This seems like a good time to remind you, if you like what you're seeing here, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Give me a thumbs up or give me a little comment. Let me know you stopped by. I love hearing from new friends. I love hearing about my projects, what you like, maybe what you didn't even like, but just let me know you stopped by. And also check out the playlist. It's linked in my description. And check out these amazing hosts. They are wonderful. All right, let's go in with our paint. Let's get our snowman going. There's that pink from the other cup for our hat. We're going to do our little snowman in white. And then we're going to add, I tried to add a little candy cane over there, but I wasn't liking it. So I end up covering it up with the whipped cream. I just didn't like the way it turned out. But we're just going to continue on doing this little guy, and I'll be back to talk about the next project. Okay, here is our next project. I also got these for $1 a piece at the Dollar General, and I've already sanded them up and painted over the middle piece with some white. I'm going in with that same gingerbread color that I used on the other projects, and I'm going on there and painting the top part and the middle part with that same color. We're going to turn these into some cute little coffee to-go cups that have something to do with Gingies. I just love these when they get done. I do use Canva to create a little template for the front of the coffee to make it look like a cute little coffee shop to-go cup, but gingerbread themed. So I used a little bit of a lighter tan on the middle. Felt like it needed that just to distinguish that it is one of those little koozie things, you know, and the top part would be the dark brown for the lid. Sometimes that's how they look, so I wanted it to look as if it was authentic. Now, I didn't get real authentic and make this all crinkled like one of those koozies, but I think it turns out super cute. Okay, now I'm using the scrapbook paper. I have cut out pieces to fill in where the white was, and that's going to be our cute little Christmas cup. And we're just going to use some Liquitex matte medium to secure them to our cups, and this makes it so much more Christmassy, and I love it. I wish I had incorporated this paper into all my projects, but it is what it is. And I think these are super cute, and they would make cute little gifts for someone just to set out for Christmas time. Now I got these little coaster, there's 6 pieces in there. I don't remember where I got them. Believe it may have been Hobby Lobby, but who knows. I went on Canva and I made this cute little logo, and I printed 2 of them, and we are going to put it on these little wood circles. Now these are pretty flimsy wood circles. I don't know why they called them coasters, because I'm not sure that I would use them as a coaster, but yeah. So I got this scrapbook paper out, and both of these scrapbook papers came from the same pack from Hobby Lobby. It's one of those little mini packs that you can get at Christmas time, and I'm using that matte medium Liquitex again to apply these to the circles, and we'll apply those onto the cups with some tacky glue. You can use wood glue, hot glue, whatever you desire, but I like to use this tacky glue because I get a little bit of wiggle room and it works really well. I'm just sanding off the edges now, and we're going to apply it right on to the cups. Then we're going to take those little logos that we made on Canva and cut them out and apply them on the top of the circles, and we will have the cutest little coffee cup to go gingerbread themed things to put out on display. That was a mouthful. Anyways, they end up adorable. These are my favorites from this. Well, I don't know. The little bucket's kind of my favorite. These can come up to number 2. I'm using that tacky glue here, favorite glue. I totally suggest it to you. I'm going to put it on the cup and the back of the circles, and that helps it secure a little bit better. And now we are going to paint the back of our little white stickers. I don't know if you've seen that part. I painted it with white. They're not stickers, but paper. It's just inkjet printer paper. And I used the inkjet to print those out. So that's all it is. Anyways, I painted the back of them white so that the polka dots wouldn't show through. Now I'm just sanding off the edges, and we are good to go. I'm taking this Distress Oxide and I'm going around the edges just to add a little bit of darkness in there. A little, not really grunging it up, just giving a little bit of something. And that's that. I also got this from the Dollar General, and it says $5 on the back of this, but they sold it to me for $8. Imagine that. I'm not going back to worry about it, but I've already painted that little gingerbread up there with 1 coat of white, and I'm going over it again, and then we are going to go over this whole thing because we're going to turn it into something totally different. Was it cute to begin with? Sure, but it just wasn't screaming Mary. So I decided I needed to redo it, and why not, right? Now we're just going to go over the whole thing with some white, and then we're going to go over it with the color that we're going to use. So the next color I'm grabbing is some gingerbready color, and we're going to color it over this rolling pin. Now I do this in the beginning because I was going to just leave this like this and make it look more like a wood rolling pin, but then I decided to use some scrapbook paper out of that same pack on this. Now we're just gonna do our little gingerbread in the tan as well, and then I'm gonna choose a nice turquoise kind of color at the bottom. And I love turquoise and red during the Christmas time. I think they're super cute together, and it really goes really well with the gingerbread theme. So we're just painting up. And here's the scrapbook paper I decided to use. You'll notice in this I do lose a lot of footage. My phone kept dying on me, but there's some scrapbook paper that I used on the dress, and here is a stencil from Chalk Couture that I'm going to use for wording. We're going to use this holiday up here on the rolling pin. I did paint those end handles red so that we could tie in the red and turquoise. I gave her a turquoise bow and a red dress. I kind of wish I could have done a turquoise dress and a red bow, but I didn't have anything turquoise, so it is what it is. So I'm using black for the wording, and we're going to do holiday up here. We're going to do bake shop and some little gingerbread at the bottom, and I'll go ahead and skip right to that. Now I'm actually using ink, not chalk paste. Once I heat set this, it will be permanent anyway. I do not have any chalk paste. I can't find the chalk paste I did have, and my chalk paste is all bad. So I'm using up the ink that I have, and it works. It heat sets, and it's good to go. So here I am adding the bottom portion of this that says pies, cookies, cakes, and I can't read the cocoa, I believe. And then I'm going to put some 2 little gingerbreads, one on each side, and that bottom portion is done. Now when I talk about heat setting, this dryer is actually super duper hot, and it can heat set it. You could also put a piece of parchment over it and go over it with an iron once it's completely dry, and that will make sure it stays on there. But I just believe that doing this is good enough. Once I spray it with my sealer, it's good to go. Now here I'm just going in and making a little bit of lace at the top of her dress. I'll do like a little outline of her dress and all that as well. Just kind of doing some fine line details to make this a little bit better. Going in and doing the icing, and we'll do the face as well. I really enjoyed doing these redos of these Dollar General items. I think it is so fun to make something your own. I mean, this started out as really, generic, and I've turned it into something that's colorful and fun and homemade. So don't be afraid to redo things that you have and make them into your own style. Why go out and buy something else when you have something you can turn into what you want? All right, we have that bright nose on there. I kind of go in and dull that down a bit. Here is the paint that I use for the cheeks with the red that I use, and I'm going to mix those together with a little bit of the gingerbread color, and we're going to give her some cute rosy cheeks to top this little look off. If you get them too bright, you can always go in with a little paper towel and dab over them. You can come in with a little bit of paint and a paintbrush and, go around them and make a little bit of more precise cheeks. It's all up to you. That nose really is way too bright, so I do go in with a paintbrush and I kind of take some of that off, and it looks 100% better when I get done. I'm just taking this pencil and kind of drawing in some lines that I can go in with a liner later. And you can see where I've dulled down the nose now. And this just helps give it a little outline, and then I know where to go with my liner once I get through. Here I'm just touching up around those cheeks so they're a little bit more precise like I talked about, and going around that little white area where I made the dress just to get an even line, and then coming in and the top around those cheeks as well. Just some little touch-ups that you can do to make your painting better. and it helps a lot. The last part of this project is to get out some distressed oxide and go around edges. I am adding a little bit of the turquoise on here first, and then I'm going to take my black and go around and kind of give a outline so that this stands out a little bit more. And this is actually the ink that I'm using around it, not the oxide. I do love the way this finishes off your project, gives it a little pop, and it'll also distress it a bit if you go in the way I do at the very end from the edges and go in towards the middle. It gives it that little distress look, and I just love it on my projects. This is something that you don't have to do. You could leave this part out, but I think it really finishes up your project and gives it a little bit of a more authentic look rather than just plain paint with the same color everywhere. So here at the end, this is where I'm going in towards the middle, and it gives some little streaks where it distresses it a bit. And it is a very distinct look, and I love the way it turns out. All right, this sweet little gingerbread bake shop is complete. Now let's see the final reveal. Here is our cute Gingy bucket with her baby spoons, and I adore this so much. My favorite one out of all. Here's our two little mugs. They turned out super cute with the little gingerbread popping out the top and the little snowman on the other. So much fun. And here is our to-go cup. We have two of these. You can gift them, you can sit them on your tier tray, whatever you like. And last but not least, here's our holiday bake shop rolling pin redo. So cute. Love the turquoise and red. Here are all of our projects we did today, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Be sure to check out the link in my description for the playlist. Watch everybody and get some great ideas for the holiday season. As usual, thanks for watching. Hope that you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't. And as always, stay peachy. See you next time.